There are two kinds of storytellers: lazy storytellers and gold-winning ones. But what makes a story? Hi, and welcome to the Speaking Hub, the place to be to build strong communication and presentation skills that last. Today, I would like to talk about one of the most important things in public speaking if you want to build connection, engagement, and deliver memorable presentations, and that is storytelling. A lot of us know that we need to speak in stories, we need to use stories in our presentations, but do you know how to make something into a story? Because a bunch of things, a bunch of facts is not a story yet. So let's say you want to share success of your colleague Sarah, who recently landed the biggest deal in her life and she got the success of her dreams.
Simply saying that Sarah worked very hard and achieved success is not enough. This does not make a story. So today I'd like to offer you 5 valuable tools that can transform any fact that you want to share into a captivating and memorable story.
Are you ready? Let's dive in. Let me show you the original story that we're going to work with, and then we'll transform it step by step using the tools. So here's the original story. A young and ambitious lawyer has worked at a law firm for just under a year. One day, she was trusted with an important case. It was a big responsibility, so she worked day and night on this case, and finally, when the trial commenced, the lawyer confidently secured justice for her client. That's the original story. Does it move you? Probably not, because this story doesn't have the 5 critical tools. So let's have a look. What is the first tool that we can use to transform the story? The number 1 tool that every good story uses is challenge. Every story, no matter long or short, has a challenge in it. There is a hero in the story who needs to overcome a certain challenge. And let's give a definition to a story, by the way. What is a story? I like to use the definition of Rob Biesenbach from his book, Unleash the Power of Storytelling. He says, in its simplest form, a story is a character in pursuit of a goal in the face of some challenge or obstacle. In other words, every good story has a hero, the hero has a goal to get to, and there is a challenge on the way to that goal. So now let's take our original story and add the challenge to it. She began to work hard and uncovered a critical piece of evidence that could turn the tide in her favor. The woman went to present her work to her team, only to discover that the evidence had been tampered with. Do you feel how this challenge already makes the story so much more exciting? We want to find out, oh, is she going to overcome this challenge? How is it going to end? It also works as a hook because it grabs us even more into the story and we'll lean into it with more enthusiasm and want to find out what's going to be the eventual outcome of the story. Fantastic. Now let's look at the second tool. This second important tool is details. Let me ask you this. What would you prefer, to watch a movie or to read a plain text of description about that movie? Well, I think lots of us would prefer to watch a movie. Why? Because by watching a movie, we can get so much more details. These details come from the colors that we see in the movie. We can see what the characters look like. We can hear the sounds. We can see the scenery. There are so many details that are in movies, which make them so much more memorable. But now the question is, can you do the same with words when you speak? And the answer is yes. You can add so many details with your words, but we often don't do that. So here's how you can add the details to the story. First of all, make sure that all of your characters in the story have names and call them by names. Secondly, give out the names of the places. Where did this happen? Also, make sure that you describe in more detail the colors and the temperature and maybe the texture of things. So it's what we see, what we hear, what we touch. All of these sensory details help your listener to imagine the story so much more vividly. Don't tell, show. Use the words to show your audience what happened. Yes? Imagine as if you are drawing the painting and you have all those beautiful colors in front of you, and you can use those colors to enhance your painting, to make it brighter and more colorful. So now let's take our story and add some details. Sarah was a young and ambitious lawyer who has worked at a prestigious David & Sons law firm. One day her boss trusted her with an important case involving a multinational corporation, Breadworks, accused of environmental negligence. Late nights turned into early mornings as she combed through piles of documents and interviewed witnesses. Eventually, she figured out who was the cause of all the trouble. A former employee, William, who had ties to the opposing counsel. Now you can see that with details, the story comes alive. We can imagine it in our minds, we can paint the picture, and that's what matters. Tool number 3 is direct speech. Let me ask you this, have you ever watched a movie where people do not talk directly to each other? Was there a movie where there was a narrator who was explaining that now David told Mary he wants to marry her? Of course not. People talk directly to each other. So why don't they talk directly to each other in a story? Of course you need to use direct speech to express what they told to each other in the story, how the characters communicated. Also, if you speak directly, you can add emotions and feelings to it to give people even more information and extra details about how the characters felt in the moment. So let's add some direct speech to our story about Sarah. Excitedly, Sarah rushed to present her findings to the senior partners. She said, "I'm excited to share with you the evidence I have uncovered. Let's have a look at the first one. Here we can see the number of water contamination on August 12th. Let's compare it to the numbers on August 13th. Wait, I think the numbers in this report are not quite right." Instantly, with a direct speech, we're transferred into that moment as if we're listening to Sarah and as if Sarah is talking to us. This is so powerful, so make sure you use that. Tool number 4 is zooming in. What is zooming in? It is very important that your audience experiences the story in the most vivid and relatable way. And to do that, you can bring the story closer to the present by zooming in on the crucial elements and parts of the story. Usually, I would recommend to take the most exciting or dangerous or climatic part of the story and zoom in on it. To zoom in on a moment in a story, you will need to use present tense verbs to talk about that moment. So instead of using the past tense, for example, Sarah presented, Sarah said, you will say, now Sarah is presenting to the team. And you can feel that the present tense verbs sort of pull that moment into the present. And this means that we feel it much closer to us. It feels like it's happening right now, and we can relate to it on a much stronger level. So now let's have a look at the climax of our story and zoom in on it. Sarah discovers that the evidence has been tampered with. She feels panic. We bring that moment into the present, and it becomes so much closer to us. And finally, tool number 5, use emotions. When I talk about using emotions, there are 2 aspects to it. The first one is that you speak with emotions. When you speak, you express feelings, you express emotions like, I'm excited, hey, let's go to the party, or that was a very difficult year for us. You express emotions with your tone of voice and also with your facial expressions. But also, you use the words that describe emotions. So let's have a look at our story with Sarah and which of the words were the emotion words in it. Excitedly, panic confidently. Try to use as many feeling words as you can, and also express your emotions as you speak. These are the 5 critical tools to transform a piece of information into a beautiful story. Remember, every good story has a character, the character has a goal to reach, and there is a challenge on the way. And you can make the story come alive by using the details, using emotion words, and using direct speech. I hope this was very useful for you. By now, I'm sure you have the best tools in your pocket to go and craft your beautiful stories. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to this channel for more tips and secrets about successful public speaking and communication. I can't wait to see you in the next video.